3 years time, 5 years time, 10 years time. Hello? That delivery wasn't for more clothes, I promise. Hey dudes, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. In today's video we are talking about how to give up the fight for fast fashion, and I've also got 10 things that you can do to help yourself shop smarter and therefore reduce your consumption in fast fashion. But first of all, here is a little bit about how I'm feeling and why. So I shop a lot, and it's becoming more and more apparent to me that this is a bit of an addiction. This is actually a big idol of mine, hence why about a year and a half ago for Lent I gave up shopping for 6 weeks, which was hard, and I didn't do it again the next year because I didn't want to. But also this year I set myself a goal. At the beginning of the year I set out to only buy myself 1 new item of clothing per month, and by March I did a big shopping order. But I do understand that it's a problem. Climate change is a huge issue. And I'm someone who's really passionate about recycling. Like, I'm very, very anal about it. But when it comes to clothes, I'm in this different world, and that's not right. I need to be more consistent with my views and how I live them out. So this video is more of a first step for people who are interested in changing the way that they shop and their fashion culture, not necessarily by completely cutting out fast fashion, but certainly by reducing it. So in terms of speaking about shopping fast fashion as an addiction, with other addictive behaviours I've had, there have been certain ways that I have coped with that or abolished that. Sometimes that has been having a lot of restraint and personal discipline over stopping that behaviour. Sometimes it's been through circumstance that access to that thing has been removed, and then after a period of time without it, choosing not to go back to it once it has become more accessible. But with fast fashion, I'm finding that for me personally, and maybe for you, the first step is an attitude change. So I'm discovering more and more that this is a huge idol for me, and I'm investing too much time, too much money, too much damage into the environment, and every time I buy clothes I expect it to have some level of fulfillment in my life, and it doesn't. And it's taken me a lot of rounds of buying new things to work out that yeah, this isn't going to change for me. Fashion is also not an identity, and I need to unlearn that fashion makes me an individual. It might certainly emphasise individuality, but to my nearest and dearest, they're not seeing my personality, my heart and my values through what I wear. They're appreciating it through knowing me. I don't need fashion for them to see me as an individual, and beyond my nearest and dearest, it just doesn't matter what people think. My old identity might have been from earthly things, but since 11 years old, when I chose to adopt my identity in Jesus, fashion is irrelevant to that. So I need to drop this earthly habit that I have of feeling like if I don't express myself through materialism, I won't be heard. Because I will be, and you will be, by people who care enough to listen and appreciate you. Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothing? Ultimately, this world is going to end. There is an eternal life, and that is in heaven. And in heaven, the fashion we wear on earth just isn't going to matter to this extent. It can be good for modesty and creativity and expression, but it doesn't matter. Stewardship of the earth and personal value coming from God should matter more. So here are 10 ways to shop smarter and reduce your fast fashion consumption. Number 1 is to buy what you love. If you put something on and you have to convince yourself why you like it and why you should keep it, what's likely to happen is that down the road, maybe in a few years, you will see another item very similar, but that is slightly more attuned to what you love. And you may very possibly buy that item, making the first item redundant. I have certainly done this, which is why I know enough about it to make it a point of this video. But recently I've done it with 2 items. I haven't actually taken the tags off yet. I first bought this top. It's just a little black top, cute little collar on it, and then very soon after that I bought this one, which has this white collar and it's a wrap top with a little tie. Luckily I bought them in quite close proximity, which means that I still have the choice to return whichever one I prefer the least, or maybe even return both of them. But realistically I don't need these 2 items in my wardrobe, they're just too similar. If you're at all interested, I'm more leaning towards keeping this one because I think it's been more interesting, and I think in a few years' time if I kept this one I'd just find it a bit boring. So that's another point. Think ahead about what you might like in several years' time. Secondly, try to avoid buying for occasions. For example, if there are some occasions which are a bit bigger, like maybe going to a wedding, it's quite useful to have a formal suit or a formal dress that you can wear. But if you could get away with wearing it twice, maybe with a different cardigan or different jewellery, different shoes, then that would be really, really good. But I'm talking more about occasions that are a bit smaller, like a Christmas party or a day trip to here or a holiday outfit. Those things just aren't completely necessary. What you could do is buy smaller by buying different accessories to amplify a regular outfit into a special going out outfit. And I'm going to prove this to you. Now, so quickly I am presenting myself in a different way for a different occasion, just with some hoop earrings, a little beret hat and some lipstick. So now this is an outfit appropriate for a different occasion, perhaps something a bit more smart, a bit more exciting, going out somewhere, and all I've done is add earrings, lipstick and a hat. But easily I could also add a scarf, gloves, different shoes. I could add socks that like stand out above the rim of little boots or something. So many different things that I could do to change an outfit, and I've not actually consumed any more clothes. I've only done smaller pieces, which you might already have anyway. Thirdly, choose where to invest your money and buy slightly more expensive but better quality items that you will get a lot of use out of. For example, underwear, socks, plain black t-shirt, plain white t-shirt, one good pair of jeans and one everyday pair of shoes. If you know items like these you're going to wear almost every day, multiple times a week, then it might be worth buying something slightly more expensive that you will enjoy more because it feels more comfortable, and it will stop you just replacing it because it's cheap and gets worn out so quickly. Number 4 is observe what you wear often. The things that you always go back to, what is it about them? They're comfy, they're a certain style, they're a certain colour, certain material. So in future, when you're buying more items, you can remember the things that you really look for in clothes, and you can avoid buying things that ultimately just sit in your wardrobe and you never choose. And you can also use this to help yourself stop rebuying things that you already have. Number 5, when you're trying stuff on and you're in the changing room at the shop, don't just stand straight in the mirror and do all these nice poses in your new, potentially new outfit, because you're making it look its absolute best. But in reality, when you're actually wearing the outfit and you're just behaving normally, you're going to be sitting and slouching and your belly's going to come out. You might get bloated sometimes. So when you're trying them on, stand in poses that you will do every single day. If there's a little stool, sit on the little stool in the dressing room, crouch down. Can you bend over easily in these trousers to pick something up off the floor? Can you reach up to a high shelf? How does the top then move when you're doing that? Does it show a lot of skin that you're not comfortable with? Does it pull on the armpits? Try and figure out if it only looks good when you're standing a certain way, because that might just be too unrealistic for you to want to buy it. And similarly, when you're shopping online, when you're having a look at the piece of clothing in the picture, use your thumb or just scroll down a bit to cover up the model's face and see how you like the item of clothing then, because it might just be that the model is very pretty and they actually look really good, but you want to isolate the item of clothing itself or even what they paired it with. Just have a look at the one item you're thinking of buying and see if you still like it when the other factors aren't included. And remember that the photographer, the stylist, the editor, the company owner, they all want to make that product look as good as possible, so you will buy it. So when you're looking at the way it's photographed online, you're probably looking at the way it looks its absolute best. So when you receive that item in person, don't expect the item to look better on you than it does on the model, because they've got the perfect lighting, it's wrinkle free, they've done everything they can to make it look really good. So it's unlikely the item online will look better in person. Number 6 is if you have bought an item, don't take the tags off straight away. if about after a week you haven't worn it yet, that's probably a sign that maybe you should reconsider keeping it. Maybe it's time to return it. Also, look back at how much you paid for it. Does it still seem like a good price for that item, or were you just in a bit of a shopping excitement phase when you bought it? And this is what really gets me, is when I hold the item in my hands and I think about how much I paid for it, and I ask myself, would I sell this back to the shop for the same amount of money that I spent on it? Because often that really changes my perspective on it, and it really makes me reconsider how much I like the item, especially for how much I paid for it. Number 7 is unfollow influencers. Now, I'm not talking about every influencer. I'm not saying that you have to not like these people anymore, but I have definitely unfollowed a couple of influencers, particularly on Instagram. And it's not because I don't like them, but it's that their content encourages me to overconsume, and that's what I want to stop. So with a lot of these influencers that I still really like the personality of, I continue to follow them on YouTube, if they have YouTube accounts, particularly because in those videos they're often like head up shots, so I'm less thinking about their body and their outfit, or they're doing more normal things like vlogging, so I can just enjoy their personality rather than constantly thinking about what they're wearing and being sold something. And also on Instagram, often what they're posting are photos that could be edited, filtered, or at least just lit in a very nice, flattering way. The photo's been really thought about, which is just not very relatable. So the standard it's setting is unachievable. Whereas on YouTube, they might be sitting a bit more slouchy, much more normal, much more relatable environment than just in their homes without this perfect, beautiful lighting and editing. And with that, follow more influencers who encourage you to go thrifting and secondhand shopping, and their body size is more relatable to your body size or your body type. And again, that's to be influenced by people who will help you have a more healthy attitude towards fashion. Number 8 is don't buy clothes that don't fit. Now, this might just be you really like an item and there's one left and it's a stretchy fabric, so it doesn't matter if you get one 2 sizes too small, but actually it really scratches at your armpits and it's really painful to wear. Yes, I do deeply relate to this example. I even tried to find you the specific top of my wardrobe to show it to you, but it's not in there because I've hidden it in the bag of clothes that sits under my bed that I can't even reach day to day because it's just a useless top, but I still like it, so I'm keeping it for now, but I don't wear it. But I also have a lot of pairs of jeans that I don't wear because they don't fit, and I haven't lost the weight that I expected to be able to fit into them. So they're useless, they're meaningless, I'm just storing them for no reason. Whereas if I'd held off buying them for 30 quid back then, I could have that £30 now to spend on a pair of jeans that actually fit me. Or to not even spend on clothes at all, to spend it on something else, but it's not just sitting in my wardrobe doing nothing. Number 9 is you are only in comparison with people when you enter yourself into a competition. So part of giving up the fight for fashion also means giving up your place in the race where you're competing with other people and trying to make yourself feel better about how you look because of how other people look against you. Because what do you gain from comparing yourselves to other people? Because it's not value, it's pride disguised as value. And there are healthy kinds of pride. There are definitely things in your life that you should be proud of. But gaining pride from looking at someone else as lower than you is not good. That just takes you further away from humility. And the Bible says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Philippians 2 verse 3. And the more humble you are, the less the attitude of comparison you probably have. And number 10, who is going to judge you? I am a very observant person, and the fact that I'm also interested in fashion means I'm very aware of what people wear, and I have a really good memory bank of people's outfits and the kind of things they wear day to day. So a lot of people that I know in my life, I can immediately picture certain clothes they wear, and I can identify that I've seen a lot of those items of clothing quite regularly. And my point about this is that I don't care. I really have a very neutral, non-existent opinion on the fact that they re-wear a lot of the same clothes, or that their wardrobe is probably actually quite small based on the stuff I see them in. I don't care. So why do I hold myself to a standard where I think it's really important to be fashionable all the time and that adds to my value, when I, a human being, looking at other human beings, don't care? They probably also don't care. And more so, there are two specific people I can think of who have really, really good style. Even though they don't have clothes in a great quantity, their eye for clothes is really, really good. So quantity doesn't necessarily equal being more stylish, being better. And even if there are people who will judge you by what you wear, that doesn't feel nice. And we can all say that being judged doesn't feel nice. But also, it doesn't matter when you factor in the fact that God is the ultimate judge and he will judge us, and his judgment means something. When people on earth judge us for the things that we wear, what power does that really have? It doesn't. It might make us feel sad for a bit, but only if we believe them. But they don't actually have the power and the knowledge to speak truth over us and our identity and our value, whereas God does. So we should be looking to God to tell us what our value is and these truths about us and our identity. And what God says about us is that we are not judged by what we wear, we are judged by the conditions of our heart. So instead of investing in looking stylish and having a really great creative wardrobe, let's invest in the condition of our hearts and having a really close relationship with God, who tells us that he values us and he loves us so much, because that is what matters. That is what is going to stand the test of eternity. Now, I also have a lot to say about body image and how that relates to an attitude towards fast fashion, because I do think they can be really, really related. But honestly, this video is already quite long and I'm on a personal journey with body image, so I think we'll save that content for another video where we can have much more time to really get in depth with it. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video. Thank you if you made it all the way to the end, because I know it's quite a lengthy video, but I hope you've enjoyed it, because I really stand by all of these points. And I really do think that following along with this kind of attitude can really help break us free from some really unhelpful chains and unhelpful idols in our lives that just take away more from us than they give. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye!